Hi, good evening and welcome to Circle Grace One live with myself, Brother Francis E. Revels-Bey. We're on now. It's about 5:26 p.m. on Thursday, July the 6th, 2017. I'm going to be uploading this into my YouTube account because I was given a completely different number. My other number doesn't go through, but everybody can view it on YouTube channel later. So what we're going to do today, using my book here, Dancing in the Light of Divine Grace, and I'm on chapter number 19, and I'm starting off with the fourth, fifth, and sixth fields of awareness, which begins on page 139. Before we get started, through divine power and by divine grace, all who have the opportunity to hear the program live, as well as have an opportunity to see it later when I upload it into YouTube, because it is a live video stream. May you be blessed by the words, the energy behind the words. May you pick up also on what we might call energy or light that's containing even a deeper understanding for yourself. And as usual, I'm going to be able to add in a meditation right in this program. So you'll be blessed in more ways than one. Know that I'm going to give you a pink healing light and a lavender and violet flame light right now, so that this particular broadcast really flows on a deeper level with yourself. The energy is definitely building up. I can see it here on the screen. Amen, and so shall it be. So last week I introduced the art of manifesting your heart's desires, and I was working with the first three fields of awareness, which talked about overcoming fear, doubts, illusions, and various other thought processes that are connected to our personal ego that often gets in the way of our opportunity to rise up into higher frequencies. And then the second one brought forward dealt with the universal God mind and our connection to it. And that is our identity. And then our third field of awareness mentioned and taught that all life is energy. Now, the first field of awareness is actually the hurdle that we're all overcoming, and often dealing with in different ways, whether it's with ourselves internally or reflected and seen outside ourselves through other individuals that are connected to us, or some who are not connected. And therefore, the other fields of awareness that follow that from number 2 forward are actually remedies. Now, each one of these awarenesses from 2 all the way up to 9 and 10 can individually correct what the first field of awareness is. Or you could use several together, any 2, any 3, any 4, any 5, any 6, and so forth, to actually bring you forward, catapult you forward, act as a catalyst to, we might say, bring down that energy in the field of awareness where we can begin to dissolve it, shift it, change it, purify it, and transcend it. And so this is our opportunity in which to teach this so you can see how this actually works. Okay, and it does work. It just takes effort on our part. Some people are blessed through life to have a lot more energy, a great deal of focus, and that's necessary to be very centered, focused, rooted, and then know that you're flowing into this through your heart center. This is going to help people in a lot of ways because it will also pull from our memory. And we do have a memory, our remembrance, our ability to raise our energy up. We already know that it's actually on a higher frequency, but when we're in the earthly matrix, involving the 3D and overlapping with the 4, 5, 6, and higher resonations, we're going to find that, at each level that we elevate, we're going to find some minor hurdles that are there. And so sometimes we have to clear out our remembrance. And there is a technique, or not just one, there's several different techniques that you could investigate on your own that deals with projecting yourself into the plausible futures. And these are different timelines, energy lines, and then you can see how your thought process will carry itself out. And then you're able to pick better thought processes, better intentions, also pick higher vibrational, emotional kind of energy and feelings, which can then lift your energy up, and you can ride the waves, just like a surfer rides inside the curl of a wave or on the top of the wave. This energy that we're working with that involves universal energy, our personal energy, and then the energy of the environment. It's like a biorhythms. You're bringing all of that together. So you might think of the divine energy as the spiritual energy, the higher emotional energy, or the higher mental energy. Then you have your energy, which then works on the emotional plateau. And then you have the matrix or earthly energy that you are finding yourself in to represent the physical, just like that. So you can see how these vibrations begin to come together and loop through in your life. And then you can control them on those different levels right down to your personal, mental, emotional, and physical resonations. So we're going to get started here. And one of the things is the fourth field of awareness represents the 5 points. The 5 points are basically 5 questions that will help you define the manifestation of your heart's desire. In other words, once you can decide or get to the point that you have an idea of what you want to bring in, then these 5 points can assist you. Now, I came up with these 5 points. I thought about how a journalist reports the news, or how investigators go into, like, let's say, a crime scene or something like that. And these 5 questions hold true. 4 of them start with a W, and the 5th one starts with an H and has a W in it. So the first question that you would ask yourself is, what do you want to have in your life? What do you want to have in your life? So you want to give yourself time and ponder that. Now, when you're thinking about what it is, you might look more toward what's a priority in your life. What's the main priority? What's the overall outlook that you're looking to achieve? Or you could get it down to very technical points, something that, if you are aware of the specific mechanics of what that is, then you can focus on that. But the whole idea is get to the core, get to the absolute core of what it is that you want to have in your life. In your life consists of loved ones, family members, friends, where you live perhaps, maybe, how you can work from a mental or creative philosophical side in your life. So you're trying to economize your life and yet expand it at the same time. Then the second question is, once you know what it is, the second question is, where do you want to receive it? So where means a location, right? A specific location. So as an example, if it was about having more finances, where do you want the finance to go? You could say in your wallet, your purse, your bank account, or whatever. Okay. The next is why, though. Now, why, out of all 5, why is like the balancing point. So if you know what you want and where you want to receive it, the next logical question to ask is why, right away. Why is the purpose? Why do you need or desire it? And once you discover that, that kind of answers the what and the where. Okay. Sometimes the why, and you can use a pendulum with it, sometimes the why can define on a higher level what it is that you really desire and then where you want it. Then the next question is, when do you want it to take place? And usually you don't want it to take place eons after your existence. You want it now. You want it in the present moment. And then the fifth question is how. How do you expect to receive it? Now, at the time when I put this together, this was back in 2003. So years going by and even learning for myself, how is usually not how many components or parts that you really need to bring something in your life, is really turning the how over to the divine source, the divine providence, the spiritual crew upstairs in your life, because they see more than you can see. They can see all the crevices, they can see the valleys, they can see the mountains. So they can actually smooth it out from a higher plateau and therefore put you in a better lane. And so think of it like when you're driving a car, when you're flowing with the traffic and you're in 4 lanes, 3 lanes, maybe 10 lanes. Okay. Now, when you're driving in all of these lanes, each lane carries a specific kind of energy. Like when you're out there driving, you get in the far right lane. That's for people who just want to drive casually and slowly. They're not interested in speeding, but they're driving within the speed limit, maybe 5 to 10 miles a little slower. Then you've got that lane to the right. And if it's a 3-lane road, that lane is for passing. You're going to get from behind the car and go to their left. That's the rules and regulations to pass on the driver's left side so they can see you better. And then we know that 3rd lane is, once you get in that 3rd lane, that's acceleration. So that is definitely driving on top of the speed limit and sometimes a little faster, right, to keep the flow of traffic moving. We already know that if you're in the middle lane, you have excellent control, but you can't really drive slow. But if you're in the right lane, you can drive slow for a half a minute until there's someone entering. Now, we know when people are coming up entering, if the people in that right lane are driving slower than the speed limit, the person coming in has the option of either waiting for the right lane traffic to pass or to attempt to accelerate up to the speed limit and then get in. And the way one is really supposed to come in is like get into the right lane and then shift into the middle lane. But some people, if there's nothing behind them, they could shift all the way over to the middle and maybe get into that lane to accelerate. It is the same in your mind. You have to see these different streams of energy, and you have to figure out how you're going to maneuver into that. What is it that you need to do? Now, most of the time, like the late Reverend Ike would say, you actually have to raise your consciousness, your awareness, and your energy, not only your emotional energy, but your mental energy. You have to raise your physical energy up so that everything is speeding up at a higher rate. Then you have to be able to maintain that internally. If you can maintain those vibrations together on the inside of you and within your auric field, what will happen is that which you're seeking to accomplish, you will actually match it. You'll come very close to matching it exactly. And then what happens when you match it, then it's pulled out of you. It's not actually pulled into your life. It's actually pulled up out of you, and then it begins to have an embrace with everything outside yourself, which will then further match your energy. So you have to basically have the consciousness And then from the consciousness, you have to practice holding the consciousness with clarity and feeling that you know that it's yours, whatever it is that you're striving to have. Then you have to believe in it, but more than belief, you have to have faith that what you are doing actually already exists. And there was an old example that I used the other night at last week in the meditation. It was a lesson learned uh, probably in a Unity journal that I saw, where a person had transitioned in their life and they met up with their guardian angel, and they were in the what we might call a palace of divine providence, the palace of God's mind. And while there, having an opportunity to speak with their guardian angel and then begin to stroll around on the grounds, the energy fields, and then going into the energy of the palace, which was really the mind, and seeing these different compartments, which were the different rooms, and then looking and seeing a room ajar and asking their angel, can they see what's in there? And the angel escorts them in. And that being, that soul realizes, hey, these are some things that are connected to their earthly existence, their soul and spirit existence. But what they found very interesting was that particular soul consciousness asked its guardian presence, the angel, hey, I see a Rolls Royce here, a Bentley or Jaguar, but when I was walking the earthly plane, I always wanted to have one of these and never had an opportunity to achieve it. And I see here, energetically, my name is on a Jaguar. So how is it that the presence of God would have something labeled for me, but I never had the chance to actually receive it? And the answer from that person, that being's guardian angel, was, that's because when you were this close, like a hair length close to getting it, you fell out of sync with it. You got frustrated. Anxiety overcame you. Then you became immobilized. Then your self-esteem dropped, and then you thought you couldn't have it. So your value about yourself dropped down, and you thought you could never achieve this. So you wound up going after second and third best. That's the best way I could put it. It really was told like a joke, but it was saying that the person wound up with lemons, cars that didn't work, things that they put out or had to shell out a lot of money for, but always dreamt of having this fancy car, but never allowed themselves to develop the courage and then be able to hold that thought within inside themselves until that particular car materialized in their life. So I'm using that as an example. It's the lesson in that is not to become sidetracked, not to let things from the outside get in the way. It's all about believing in yourself, but it's also having the faith, because faith is actually a demonstration of what you're seeking. So when you see that demonstration happen in smaller scales, but each time it's getting larger, the experience gets larger and larger and larger, then you develop this inner courage and this persistence and the confidence and consistency and the intention. And then behind it, you become more jovial about it, but not only about what you're seeking to achieve, but you become happy in general, jovial and excited with life in general. So if one can do that, and along with forgiving oneself and having more love for oneself, and love like unconditional love, and then you're able to see the love in everything and everyone, then eventually this thing that you are desiring, this thing that you truly want, you know what it is, okay, and you know where you want it, and now you know why you want it, because you've raised the bar, you've raised the vibration of the why. And once you raise that vibration of the why, the when part is almost automatic. But what you have to learn how to do is not become too focused, and don't become too detailed with the when part, because the when part at this point involves numerous other personalities in your life that you may come across that can assist you, or may appear that they're not assisting you. But what it is how you perceive how that energy begins to make its presence known in your life. So sometimes you can't get anxiety stricken about it. You just have to know through your faith. Faith is what you know to be true, that it will materialize eventually. So, but many teachers always say you do things that will assist it. In other words, is whatever we're seeking is not going to drop down out of the sky like osmosis. It's just not going to show up like that yet. Even though we're in this vibratory energy field now, where we got the fourth dimension energy, which is compassion and unconditional love and grace, mixing with the fifth chakra range. The fourth is a heart chakra, mixing with the fifth chakra range, which is the ability to speak your truth into existence. But you can't do that unless you already know what it is, where it is, and why. The where factor, where you want to have it, is just to understand that it's already here. It's already in the spiritual energy within your auric field. It's also your auric field overlapping with the other energy zones. So it's always here. It's just learning how to get that one point or single-mindedness, not narrow-mindedness, single-mindedness. Single-mindedness allows you to widen your view, widen your stance, so that you become more clairsentient, more of a feeler and sense. You become more clairaudient when you hear bits and pieces of the information coming together. You become more clairvoyant because now you're seeing across the board how all of these different component parts are coming together, how the different members, and this is where the word remember is not just pulling in the different sources, but also at a higher rate and a higher vibration, but is also training your mind, retraining your emotions, retraining your physical body to accept a higher frequency of energy. So once you clarify what you are seeking to manifest into your life, the rest basically becomes easy. Basically, as again, the where is directly into your life, directly into your surroundings, directly into your heart, which is where you want it to be, and your consciousness. That's where you want this. You want it embedded in your consciousness, embedded so that your master cell can connect with it, embedded in your heart, because that's the center of your being. Why? Some of the whys should be positive growth, mobility, greater mobility, enhancement, expansion. Okay? You want to have that kind of mindset and emotional feeling with the why. The when part is usually right now. It's in the present moment. So we know that, like, the past we've experienced just 30 seconds ago was the past. 20 minutes ago was the past. However, the future is overlapping the past, but it hasn't occurred yet because you should be focused on right now. So really, the future is just possibilities, as they call it, the infinite possibilities. And also some call it the uncommon infinite possibilities, meaning it's not the norm when it shows up. How is through the universal God mind under divine grace. So you want to always say, when you're reaching out for this desire, you can always say this, meaning what you just called for, or something better. When you say this or something better, when you say or something better, you're turning it over to the soul. You're turning it over to the master cell inside of you to find all of the points, find all of the junctions in your life where you could come in contact with this opportunity of the what. So it's like thinking like a child with an open heart and an open mind. A child already understands blessings. The child already gets the divine grace because they see things in action. They may not be able to describe it. They just know that it's here. They see the parents and the siblings as agents for now. They're not asking for something to happen far away. They're asking for something to be mediated right now. Then there's this four states of consciousness, four states of the mind. It's actually based on two types of personalities, two types of people. Then within the two, expressing, multiplying out the four states of consciousness. So there's the rich person and the poor person. If you think of it, there was a guy, an Asian guy, that wrote a book, 20 years ago? It was called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. In other words, he was talking about how his father didn't think beyond a certain way, but he had a friend whose father had what they call the wealthier, rich mind, thought of all the different possibilities. So he wrote this concept and actually taught a whole course for years called Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And it's all about really how the mind can either be limited or expanded. So the first one is a rich person with a rich mind. Now, rich can mean monetarily, rich can mean real estate, property, and money, or it could be other things. But it's just representing that the mind can be expanded to have rich thoughts and rich ideas and rich feelings. The next is a poor person with a poor mind. So that means that the person is very limited. They cannot see beyond their own scope. They can't see beyond the horizon. They can't see beyond what's going on currently in their present situation. Then there's the rich person with a poor mind. This is someone who has it all in their mind, or has the energy for it. They just don't know how to put it into motion. Then there's the poor person with a rich mind. Now, the poor person with a rich mind is somebody that knows they don't have a lot of things, but they're not afraid to leap out for something. They're not afraid to try something out. They're not afraid to put their energy forward. They're not afraid to dive into the mix of the life energy itself. So that poor person with the rich mind is really someone who's actually more courageous than the rich person with the poor mind, or the other poor person with the poor mind. And sometimes the poor person with the rich mind is someone who's sitting back and observing everything that's going on and actually following the energy and is learning from everybody else. And then they put themselves into the sea of energy. What is most important for us to get, though, is that your self-worth and the understanding that you are essentially connected to a force field greater than your individual self can raise you to new heights of awareness. See, so that's where the poor person comes in here. The poor person is saying they understand that they have self-worth. They're trying to what? Raise it. They're trying to expand their understanding because they know that they're connected to a source of energy that's greater than themselves, that has more opportunities for capturing and attracting into their life of various degrees of resources that are what? Infinite. If you act on these 5 points with patience, you have to act on them with patience. The more experience you have, the more patience you develop. In other words, you just won't jump out and do anything. You'll study something because you're approaching it like a scientist. So this is why New Thought classifications and New Thought realm is about being a philosopher, but being a science-minded person. In other words, you're paying attention to your higher senses. You therefore can perceive something differently for yourself. At the same time, you are always looking for a better, more simpler way in which to connect. It doesn't mean that you're running from your responsibilities and what you should be held accountable for, because what's very important, the more you learn about whether it's the law of attraction or the secret and all these other things, you're actually becoming more accountable for your thoughts and your actions and your deeds, also for your words and your feelings. So you have to learn to pay more attention to what you're doing. Now, the fifth field of awareness is important. The fifth field of awareness is like the middle of these 10 fields of awareness. Is saying that it's all about being a visionary. In other words, how do you see what you want? And here it reads, all of us hope to achieve all of our heart's desires. We often seek to do it through dream work. And through dream work, it can be done. That means you could actually have your mind to develop what they call lucid dreaming, where you begin to create it in the dream. Your body is totally asleep, but in the dream world, you are now the visionary. You're now lucid. You're now totally awake, and you're making the proper decisions and the changes and kind of rearranging the dream so that when you come out of it, everything falls into the order in which you are choosing it to happen. So what you want to do is you want to become more of the visionary. This way you can envision, ENVISION. When you envision something, that means you're calling and creating and building the vision from the inside out. If you could build a vision from inside yourself, as you build it from inside yourself, then you cause it to materialize. You're calling it up. You're speaking it into existence. Late Reverend Ike would say, make the vision plain. In other words, you don't have to spruce it up too much. Have the core of the vision in place, which is then the foundation. Build from there, but always looping it back. Just like when a person is sewing, you could sew the needle into the material with the thread, and you could just keep going, or you could lock the thread into the material by looping back and coming right by where you place the hole, and go a little further and then loop back. Why? Because then you're going to make the stitching a little tighter. It's the same. You're making your path very clear. You're making your path distinctive. Okay? You're looking at, there's a certain rhythm that you need to carry in your voice. A certain rhythm you need to carry when you walk. But guess what? The rhythm is based on your heartbeat. That's why people are playing congas, bongos, timbales, symphonic timpani drums, a regular drum set is based on the heartbeat. If they could hear the heartbeat, then every rhythm will follow in sync with the heart, and then everything will carry itself forward. And then it becomes almost literally automatic. So you can create success, abundance, prosperity, better health, but you got to have the clear purpose and the clear picture. So you have to see the image internally. See the image internally. That's very important. Clear intention, this is in capital letters on 141. Clear intention leads to clearer manifestations. Clear intentions. So let's look at the word intention. ION, the suffix part. That's a charged particle of light. All energy is light. A charged particle, that means you got so much energy on this that it has to do what? It has to come into fruition. Then you've got the prefix in, IN. So you want this energy, what? To go in something. You don't want it to first be cast out. It's got to come in something first. It's got to be packaged in something. And then you got the word in the middle, tent. Think of like a pup tent, a camping tent. What does that tent do? It allows you to sleep in there. It allows you to live in there. Maybe it's for as long as you want, as long as you have what? The proper energy, the proper mindset. To think of the tent like a matrix, a womb all to itself. It's what you are using to house this energy. So when something now is intended, that means you're placing enough energy and you're making the energy field between yourself and the desired goal. You're creating the energy so it's a little more taut, a little tight. Okay, when it's a little tight, then it can be pulled, something that you're seeking can be pulled towards you, or it becomes so magnetic that it pulls you toward it. But the intention is our thought and how we feel about the thought or the idea. And then it's the emotional energy, or we'll say the feeling. You have to sense it inside, feel it inside, carry it out. Now, you know who individuals who do that well are mothers. When mothers are carrying the children, they have the opportunity to intend to hear the baby's energy and then intend, which also allows them meaning to embrace the child's energy. And then they can read to the child, they could play different kinds of music, they can be in different environments. And as long as that environment is of a peaceful, uplifting nature, a quieting nature, a high vibrational nature, where there's a feeling of spirit in action at all times, then that baby, the soul of that baby is going to latch on to the spirit, is going to latch on to the mother's spirit. And if the father's spirit is in sync, it's going to feel that as well. It's going to be able to feel the love that's radiating out toward it. And then the child receives it and radiates it back. So the next level is, like I'm saying here, is to magnetize these clear internal images with high positive emotional energy. Remember, all life is energy, but it's the ability to raise that vibration of the energy, keep it at a higher plateau and not a low. A low plateau would be feeling frustrated, feeling like you're not getting anywhere, falling into anger, feeling depleted. So therefore, it's important while you're holding this good positive energy, joyous energy inside yourself, eventually the final outcome is in your heart. So it has to materialize. But the key is, too, is keeping negativity away. If you have people who are around you who are frustrated, sad, not happy, who are what we call energy vampires, constantly pulling energy off of you, then that slows down your process. And if you're not careful, then you begin to think and act and feel, and then everything starts to shut down. It doesn't come forward. So as you allow yourself to focus on the clear intention and magnetize it and all, you start paying attention and you start acting on subtle feelings, which also places you in touch with your intuition. So intuitively, you're going to pick up on things. Psychically, you're going to pick up on things. But you have to remain open to receive. So what you want that in these occurrences and these inclinations that are happening on the subtle energy, you want to be able to do what? You want to represent the acts of faith. You want to become demonstrations of faith in your own life. This means knowing that it's going to happen, knowing that it's true. You want to give more hope to it. You want to assure that there's positive outcomes, so you have more love involved in it. And love is an energy that's so high, unconditional love will melt a barrier. It'll make you more positive in your thinking, your feelings, and your actions. So as I say, you want to be this or something better. When you say that, you're allowing yourself to be guided by your divine spirit of the higher self in you, the God mind, the mothering energy inside of you. Now, the next thing that happens which is the sixth field of awareness, is synchronicity. So when you've got you know what the 5 points are, when you have those down exactly in the way that you want them, the next thing, of course, as I said here, once you know what it is, then what is that fifth field of awareness? Is going where you're the visionary. You got the 5 points. Now you begin to imagine it in a creative way, visualize it, and have an inner vision, which means to envision it, meaning to see it from the inside out. And as you see it from the inside out, you start to live it. Then the next thing that falls into place, which is the sixth field of awareness, is synchronicity. You know those old TV shows I used to watch when I was a child, old black and white, and they would have, let's say, the explorers, and they all would have their watch. And one of the key words was, let's synchronize. Let's make sure we all have the exact time. Our watches lined up, not a minute slower, not a second faster. Why? Because when we're in synchronicity, we could feel and see everything going on. Even if we're not together, we'll know that something is happening or something is not happening. So once you know what you want and have all of this together, then you begin to experience synchronisms. When synchronicity is in full flow, that means similar things are going to happen. You're going to see the possibilities, the infinite possibilities, the uncommon possibilities. You're going to see the divine mind in action. You're going to see how your words keep generating ideas and regenerating more ideas. You're going to see fluidity. You're going to know that you're seeking to fulfill by creating what you want. You're going to notice that divine order is always in order, and events will always unfold simultaneously. So an example of that would be you're out looking for, let's say, a pair of shoes. Now, you might look in the paper and you see where the shoes are, but everybody is selling the same kind of shoe sometimes, especially at malls. There's a J.C. Penney's, there's a Kohl's, there's all these different places. Some of them are selling the same shoes. So now what are you seeking? You're trying to get the best deal. You're trying to get the shoe either a little lower in price, but you still want the quality. You want the quality to be there so the shoe lasts a long time. You know, like you don't want to wear the shoes in 3 months, even if you wear them every day. You don't want the heels to be worn down. You don't want the hole in the sole. You don't want the shoe to get stiff. You don't want to get the shoe to fall apart. You want that shoe to stick together. So you're looking for the quality. And we know sometimes with quality, there's always a big price. In life, when you're dealing with synchronicities, there are some big spiritual prices that get paid or that must be paid. But the best way to pay it is to know that it's there already. Then raise your energy up. That's how you pay it. Raise your energy up. Stay highly focused. Expect the out of the ordinary, something extraordinary to pop up. And sometimes the smallest thing or the smallest opportunity or a person that seems to be insignificant can bring that into being. So you're out there shopping for shoes. You know the color, you know the style, you know the price range, but maybe you fall in love with a pair of shoes that's a little higher than your price range. Or maybe you're talking to the salesperson, and they start showing you different styles, same price, but there's a style that you like. So now they show you that style that you like, what? In different colors. That's synchronicity. Showing the style that you like, the size of the shoe, the width of the shoe, the three most important things, and the shoe has to be comfortable to some extent. Now they're going to show you the different colors of the shoe. You know, you don't have to stick with dark brown and just black. You might go to light gray. You might go to navy blue, dark navy blue, moss green. You know, you might go to the shoe that, like for men, the Georgian, where the shoe comes up, the leather comes up over the ankle. Or you might have a slip on, or you might have one where you just have one belt going across. In any event, you're looking at all these different variations of the one shoe. Now you just got to make up your mind which one you want and how many you want. What you'll know is that the price will be there. Same with getting a car. You go and find the car, you like the car, maybe now you have the ability to what? Chew the fat, barter, get it down to the price that you want it. Because you don't have to buy the car for the sale price that you see it for. If you've bought enough cars or had the experience of being around other people, you realize you get that car for what you want it for, pretty close to what you want it for. The person is going to still get their commission. You just want the car in the manner that you need the car to be there for you. Same with clothes, same with a home, same with property. You want it to be whatever you want. You have to be comfortable with it. That's the most important thing. So synchronicity is important. When you know everything that you want, desire, you know how it's going to come to you. You know the universe is going to take care of that. The universe is just asking you to get excited about it and asking you to expect it to happen and asking you to get ready for the experience of what you are seeking. So we got the 5 points. What is it that we want? Where do we want it? Why do we want it? When do we want it? And how we expect to get it, right? So we got that. Then we have to be the visionary about it. We've got to see it for ourselves, but you need to just see the end result. You don't really need to see all the little steps in between. That's where the universe steps in and starts bringing you the right people at the right moment, in the right situations. You're just going to envision. You're going to hold the vision inside yourself. As you hold the vision, then the next step is synchronicity, is being aware that that particular thing that you desire is showing up now, showing up in different ways, showing up with different values connected to it, different monetary values. Then it's up to you to get comfortable, different situation. So what we're actually doing is we're building a relationship with that which we desire. And if we can get to the core, the why will fine tune the what and the where and the when and the how. That why will do that. So why, which is a 3-letter word, is connected to how, which is another 3-letter word. And if you flip how around, change the letters, how becomes who. Who is it that represents the how? It's the universe. It's the divine mind of the universe is the how and the who that makes the why a reality for you and makes the what a greater reality and brings it into you, right? And then serves you with it so that you can embrace it, so that you know it's happening all the time. It just didn't happen months ago outside of you down the road. It's always happening now. That's where synchronicity comes in. The synchronicity is the more you focus on something, the more you're going to see it materialize, in different forms, different qualities, different amounts, different locations. And each amount and locations is going to get better and better and better. But you had to hold the vision. So let us take a meditation right now. Do a meditation where we could build on something for ourselves. Now, we can make this more concrete and actually look at something that's very concrete or something that's more experiential, but in the sense that you already know it exists in spirit. It's already in your auric field, your energy is just about lined up with this. You're seeing it, you're understanding it, you're knowing how to put it into motion. So just know the 5 questions blend into the visionary part. As a visionary, you already know why you desire what you desire. So we go to the immediate center. We just know why, because it's going to be for a positive enhancement, positive expansion, greater abundance, infinite flows of abundance and prosperity, better health, stronger health, high vitality, clear mind, clear emotions. It's going to give us greater gifts. It's going to bring the gifts that are already on the inside to the outside of us. It's going to bring more positive people and experiences. Not only more positive, but you have the vision to utilize this, whatever it is, for the better of all, for the highest good of all. The rhythm of your breath is important. So take your time and breathe in and out gradually. And as you begin to focus on what it is that you desire and why and where and when and knowing who and how, every time you're inhaling the answers to that. And every time you're exhaling, you're sharing that with higher vibrational essences connected to the divine source that we know is the who and the how of this, the who and the how that's behind these desires. Just breathe into it. Just feel it come to you effortlessly and easily and swiftly, without delay. You expect it to happen. As the visionary, you know that it's happening because you're building it, you're creating it from the inside out. And you know synchronicity exists because you start having the experiences. You might get a phone call, a letter. A friend may speak upon something. A friend may introduce you to someone. You may find it just doing your own research. But you remember. The key is say to yourself, I remember. Why? Because in other lifetimes across the planes of multi-dimensional living, you have already completed this. You've already have experienced it, and you've done it successfully. So by saying I remember, you're saying I've done this before successfully, and therefore in this lifetime, I'm just doing it much better. Right? This or something better. Again, when we say this or something better, when we say something better, we are opening our mind into the mind of the universe, the heart of the universe, the hands of the universe. We are allowing ourselves to see with the consciousness of our divinity through the eyes of our soul. It's like shuffling cards. There's a possibility that a card can throw us off, but there are 1,001 possibilities, 1,000,001 possibilities that the card we draw works at that moment. Unlocks a door, it becomes a key. Synchronicity, you see it through yourself. You're the gateway, the doorway. Everything is flowing through you. You're allowing it to flow through you. As it flows through you, you're allowing yourself to see it come into materialization, because it's already manifested in spirit. It's already in the ethers beyond you and in your etheric space. It's already there. It's already in the consciousness of the soul. It's also, so it's in the matrix of the soul. It's in the matrix of spirit. It's in the mental matrix, the emotional, physical, causal, uh, the monadic state, Christ Buddhic state, is in all of that. Brahmic state, it's all there. It's in your subconscious. And your subconscious, since you're envisioning this deep into your subconscious in reality is reflecting like a projector, projecting the thought through your crown, through the base of your skull, the crown, through your ears, throat chakra, through your entire body, through your eyes, your third eye out onto the etheric world, the divine essence on a higher plateau. So everything around us is like this blank movie screen, and the movie is happening on the inside. We're allowing these 5 points to be present. We're allowing ourselves to become a visionary, to see it on the inside out, and we are allowing ourselves to embrace synchronicity, which means we're going to see it expressed through ourselves so much that it begins to show up on other people, show up in other experiences, show up in so many different variations. And each time it shows up, your joy factor, your happiness factor has to begin to blossom with it. It's important that we have to get real happy about it. It's important that we have to almost act as if, even if we don't see it or feel it, we have to almost pretend. See, 10 is there again. Intend, pretend. Pre is before, though. RE is elevated and something that was repeated. So now you pretended means you're exercising it from long ago like it used to be for yourself when everything was in tune. So now you can pretend it into existence. Then you begin to live it. Now the pretension becomes an intention. The intention now creates this tent of ideas. And you know, the tent is like a pyramid. It's got all these things coming in, and it's got to flow in, and then you got to open the gap, the flap for it to flow out. That's the heart chakra. The mind has to be wide open. The heart has to be wide open. The hands have to be wide open. The body has to be relaxed and open. We get to a point where we don't have to protect anything because you're in the flow of the universe. The protection of your thoughts and your ideas are already present. So when you're saying this or something better, the universe automatically takes it out of your hands on a higher level, and anything or anyone that's trying to tamper with it can't tamper with it because it's at a higher level. In fact, the energy is either very cool, very cold to the touch, and no one will want to touch it, or very hot. It's so hot that you can't stand next to it. The energy is what it is. You're now in the flow. You're already in the flow. So in this meditation, I want you to take this meditation and turn it into a living decree. You already have affirmed in the meditation that it already exists. You now can decree it. I am that I am. You're all of this that's inside of you is in sync with all of that that's outside of you. You're already proclaiming it, claiming it, and now decreeing it without a doubt in your mind that it already is happening because you remember that you lived it before, you did it before. So even if you're not sure of all the little tiny details, the master cell will go into you and pull it up. You'll be able to go into the base of your skull, your own Akashic records, and pull up the records. Pull up the experiences when everything came together. and how it came together. You got a feeling for that. Just allow yourself, give yourself permission to experience it, to receive it, to embrace it, to express it, to speak it into existence courageously. Next week, we're going to flow with Fields of Awareness 7, 8, and 9. Now, if you already have my book, you can just work it through. But when we step in and we get to experience 7, 8, and 9, there's something that's there. I've actually already hinted at it. 7, you want to remember your true self. 8, you want to embrace the universal mind. You want to tell yourself about it again. So you want to really take this and go into the remembrance of your true self. Your true self is who you really are, your original self. Then you want to embrace that universal mind because that's what you're a part of. And 9, expect nothing less than success. In other words, you don't have to dominate it. You don't have to control it because you already know it's in the flow. And once we can look at this, and we'll go over this in many different ways, even when we complete it in the next 2 sessions, we can still exercise it. So let's say one of the things you're envisioning in is to envision yourself having a conversation with yourselves. Now, there's a multitude, infinite number of selves. But you're just going to talk to the master self. Because that's the one that turns on the light switch, turns on the feeling switch, turns on the thought switch, turns on the physical switch. The master cell is the one that understands all things, knows all, sees all, but also is open and knows where to get something when it doesn't have it all. It knows how to reach out to other master cells. So just allow yourself to have this conversation with your master cell. The master cell already understands everything you need to know about the universal God mind. It already knows all life is energy. It already understands the 5 points of the 5 questions. It already knows it's a master cell because it's a master visionary. It knows how to plant the seeds on the inside of you. It already understands synchronicity. It's just helping you remember synchronicity. It's helping you take that next step. So let's get ready to take that next step and see everything materialize. It's already manifesting, teeming in the spirit. It just needs a place to go. So we want to, late Reverend Ike says, give it destiny, give it a job, give your thoughts, your feelings a job. Tell it what you need it to think. Tell the mind what you want it to think. Give it a purpose. That's what the why is. What's your purpose? So as you begin to take this flow, for those of you that will see this later, this book goes for $25, and $3 more to post it, so it's $28. But the great thing is it has not only the art of manifesting your heart's desire in here, it has many other affirmations here, affirmative prayers that are universal decrees. The first half of the book talks about my own life experiences and how I had to go through all of these things to get to where I am today. First part was written in 2004. The second part was completed this year with about 10 to 14 brand new chapters. And it also has a directory of people that helped me, 3 people that helped me beyond Mother Grace that helped me. So if you want to know how to get it, just email me at iam.circleofgrace1@yahoo.com. This is what it looks like. It's a paperback book with 219 pages. Or you could send an email to iam.circlegrace1@yahoo.com. iam.circleofgrace1@gmail.com or yahoo.com. This show tonight will be uploaded into my YouTube channel in the next 2 hours. If you want to Skype me, you can call me through Skype at 505-349-4722. Cruise through my website, circlegrace1.byregion.net. You'll see some other things there. But if you get the book, you'll just see an extensive library, and you'll see my products and services as well. Well, my grace is your grace. As Akhenaten says, our grace is your grace. As the angel of grace says, remember that divine grace is a blessing, as we are alive and well in the age of remembrance. So I want you to focus on some lavender, some gold, some silver. Just let that energy float through your body. Tint of white flecks of light flowing through. Gentle pink light flowing through. Just know that everything that you heard here can help you. You can also send me questions and comments. Know that all will be well. I'll be back here next week, hopefully with the correct Zoom meeting ID so that everybody can see this or listen to it audio or see it live stream. I'll be here also every Wednesday. I will be at Blog Talk Radio, The Age of Remembrance, my 30-minute show. And then starting on July the 25th, I look to be back with the Thor Ministry Radio Network with an hour internet radio show called Decree and It Shall Be, and have that back. All right. Take care of yourself. See